Hello, loyal subjects. This is Luna, or Kirakina1, from the page Pony Pony and My Little Fanfiction Readings on YouTube. Today I will be reading Stallions on Strike by Aegis Shield. Please subscribe or like, thumbs up, whatever. I will put a link in the description to Aegis Shield's story and his main page. I will also put a link to my Facebook page on the bottom. Alright, you ready for this? Let's go. Stallions on Strike, Part 1, Big Mac Breaks. Breakfast, marketplace, plow, buck trees, repairs, plow, shipments, dinner, soreness. Breakfast, marketplace, plow, buck trees, repairs, plow, shipments, dinner, soreness. Breakfast, marketplace, plow, buck trees, repairs, plow, shipments, dinner, soreness. Big Mac had had enough. It was his whole life, every second of it. He was tired of it all. Not of apples, mind you. They were just fine. He was tired of pulling the biggest and only plow on the farm. He was tired of carrying the giant crates on his back. By the salt of his brow, did he and his fathers before him forge the farm from the wild earth. And that was kind of it. The fathers. Any pony could buck a tree and get an apple to fall from it. But no. Leave it to the stallions to do all the tough stuff. He can do it. He's big. He's a stallion. It's a stallion's job to pull the plow. That's the hard stuff. Don't worry about that giant crate of full Faust knows what metal and bits of whatever machine they were installing wherever. If he complained, he'd only be told that it was a stallion's place on the farm and in life in general. Meanwhile, it felt like every time he turned around, the massive stallion saw his sisters running off with their respective groups of friends for shenanigans. He was sick and bucking tired of seeing that while he slaved away day after day, work, work, work. There was more to him. He was good at fancy mathematics. He could smell a thunderstorm hours before it started. He could do stuff. He could. One morning, after much careful preparation and a super early breakfast, he made a plan and set it into motion. Hey, big sis, what's strike mean? Applebloom came into the kitchen after grooming for school. Granny Smith and Applejack paused their dishwashing at the sink, looking back at her. I saw it on a sign, she added quickly, just in case the word was bad for some reason. What's it mean? Well, it means when you hit something real hard. Strike! Applejack clocked a hoof hard on the kitchen tile, making a loud sound. Applebloom looked puzzled. There was a short silence, and she frowned at the floor for a few moments. What does that mean? Big Mac's gonna hit me if I wander past him for school? The little filly said in a small voice, looking frightened. Applejack and Granny Smith looked at each other. What? The orange mare furrowed her brow. What do you mean by that? She cocked her head when Applebloom pointed towards the front of the house. All three ponies went to go see, and Applejack pushed the door open. Well, I'll be. Granny Smith gaped alongside Applejack. Big Macintosh was standing in his own front yard, a scowly look on his face, holding a picket sign. Clumsily painted on it was Stallion on Strike, with big red letters. When he saw that they were looking, he began to slowly pace back and forth in procession, stomping his hooves. He set up nearby was another sign that said, Too much hard work, and next to it, more time off, and next to it, buy one, get one free. He gave pause to the last one, cocking his head. Coughing a little, he turned it around so it now read, Mares should do work too. Is he gonna hit me or not? Applebloom said, a little frightened. No, go on to school now, Applebloom, Applejack said slowly, not sure what to make of the scene. You go on and finish the dishes, Granny. I'll sort all this out, she reassured the ancient mare. Her little sister scuttled past the massive stallion, and he gave a mild wave when she went. What in tarnation do you think you're doing out here, Big Mac? He lowered the sign into her face. Stallion on Strike. Yeah, I see that, she said frowningly, pushing it aside so she could see him. What, you want days off? That's fine. Take a few. Me and Applebloom can keep things going okay for a few days. The stallion moved silently behind the too much hard work sign, sitting on his haunches. You gotta pull your weight around here. You just weigh more, the mare said, stubbornly frowning at him. Nope, he said, turning his nose up at her. He moved on to his "Mayor should work hard too" sign and planted his butt again. "Big Mac, I do just as much hard work around here as you around here. I buck trees and feed the chickens, and Applebloom does everything her little body can handle at her age." Applejack was having none of this. What had gotten into her big red sibling all of a sudden? Clank! She jumped. Big Mac produced his plow from precisely nowhere, dropping it at Applejack's hooves. Then the straps, the buckles, and the blade sharpeners. "Oh no, that's a Stallion's work, Big Mac. You know Myers ain't sturdy enough to pull that thing around through rocks and junk." She stomped a hoof. Feeling rebellious, Big Mac lowered his head and slid his yoke off. She gaped at him. Crash! It hit the ground. How heavy was that thing? He shuffled his lip in a horsey sort of righteous manner, then resumed his pacing about. Applejack was red in the face. She was so angry. How dare he shirk off out of his responsibilities? Every pony had to do their part in this here farm, and he was going to do his too if he wanted to live here. He caught her eye smirking and tilting his head up. "Nope," he said. "Big Mac, you go to work like you're supposed to," Applejack demanded, stomping a hoof. "Nope," he said snootily, pacing back and forth. The red letters of "Stallion on Strike" went back and forth like a red cape in front of a bull. Now and then he would glance at her while he paced. She went over and snatched his sign right out of his hoof. "Yeah, get back to work," she insisted. He looked mortally offended that she took his sign and snatched it back. He gruffed loudly, throwing his chest out in a threatening way. She jittered back a bit, but held her ground. He tossed his head angrily, turning and resuming his pacing. "You can't just not work, Big Mac. What are you going to do all day if you're on strike?" She said she wanted to know. Big Mac's life was the farm. What could he possibly do with himself if not taking care of it? Just go to town and laze around like a big old lump of nothing? Big Mac stopped. He pondered for a bit, narrowed his eyes. Oh, there was a good question. He worked his mouth a bit. Then his expression lit up. Yup. He turned on his heel, collected his setup signs, and started away towards Ponyville. Applejack just stood there with her mouth a little open, stunned. Big Mac had never felt so alive. He looked back and forth. Ponyville Plaza was open for business, the marketplace where every pony in town did their shopping in the mornings for food, supplies, and entertainment. He smiled, feeling light as a feather without the yoke or a barrel of apples on his back. "Hey, Big Mac!" Miss Cake wandered by, balancing a huge tray of rolls on Mr. Cake's back. The poor guy's skinny legs were quivering. It must have been those new pound buns Miss Cake had named for her son recently. "Setting up the stand late today?" she asked, eyeing the bits of wood he had with him, sticking out of his saddlebags. "Oh, I bet you made a new one. Isn't that darling, darling?" "Sure thing, honey," Mr. Cake said in a strained way, wobbling about with the tray of heavy food. Big Mac felt pity for the poor guy, following his wife's every command. "Nope." Big Mac threw his chest out. "Not setting up the stand today? What are you doing at the market then? Shopping?" She smiled in a friendly way, but there was something in her tone that just was a little bit prudish. Big Mac didn't like it at all. What, he couldn't be at the marketplace if he wasn't working or there selling apples? He snorted. "Nope," he repeated. "Running errands?" Miss Cake was nosy. Big Mac rolled his eyes, gave up, and turned one of his signs over. She stared at it. On strike?" Miss Cake face fell for a moment, and she tilted her head. "Why, that's silly. What are you on strike from?" Big Mac shrugged in a neutral way. He wanted to say his job, but that wasn't it. Just life in general. He didn't enjoy constantly toiling away. He wanted more than that. "Well, I hope you find what you're looking for and get back to it when you're feeling better," she waved, leading her tottering husband along with the tray of pound buns. Big Mac frowned, deeply insulted. Feeling particularly saucy, he went to a nearby ice cream stand and wasted 2 whole bits on a cone of vanilla. He wolfed it down shamelessly, thrilling at the naughtiness of spending money on himself. He was getting some on his nose and paused to lick it off. Having a day to himself wasn't so bad, but he wanted more days like this. He bought another ice cream cone just to be a bucking rebel. Snarfing it down and slurping rather noisily, he walked through the market to peer around. Everywhere he looked, he kind of saw the same situation. Stallions up on the roofs were doing repairs, Stallions moving heavy loads, all the guards putting their lives on the line to preserve the peace. All of them were Stallions. Big Mac couldn't recall having ever seen a female guard, come to think of it. He turned his head wildly back and forth, peering about with wild eyes. Stallions having angry shoving competitions after mares had started an argument. Stallions struggling hard at this and that and another. It was so sexist. He couldn't believe it. How had he not seen this before? He sat hard at a picnic table, just trying to drink it all in as he messily ate the rest of his ice cream cone. He tried looking at the mares instead. He saw the mares behind most of the counters in the market. The mayor was a mayor. Ponyville's main school teacher, the librarian, the vet, the weather ponies, tailor, chefs, all mares. Why were the Stallions doing all the physical labor while the mares basked in the glow of leadership and positions in the community? Big Mac's mouth fell open in awe. It was a conspiracy. It was sexist. It was, "Hey, Big Mac, shouldn't you be plowing about this time of day?" A random mare stopped to ask. He rounded on her, snapping his mouth closed. "You're usually so on time with your stuff, I can practically set a watch by your day." She chuckled. "So, how come you're not hitched up, handsome? Today your birthday?" She smiled, wanting to know. Plowing? Hitched up? His birthday? In an instant, the red pony slapped her right upside her fool head. She yapped, startled and almost crashing into a cherry stand behind her. Big Mac was startled at himself, his eyes wide. Why had he done that? Why did it feel so good? It was like some pressure had been released from within him. What was that for? She didn't make to hit him back, but was very upset. Who would hit a pony like Big Mac and hope to do any damage? Really? Plus, you didn't hit a stallion. You just didn't. Ponyville had so few as it was taboo. Did I say something wrong? She said, soft-eyed and apologetic at having offended the handsome creature. Big Mac suddenly saw his mission laid out before him. It was wrong. It was all wrong. The entire town was all wrong, and he wouldn't stand for it. Clambering up from his picnic table, he threw out his chest and heaved his sign high. Ponies all around turned to look as he slammed it into the ground like a soldier planting the flag on the enemy hill. Stallion on strike. End of part 1. Okay, so far there are 4 parts to this. Aegis, I forget his name, hold on. Aegis Shield has said there's going to be more. There are more characters coming up, which will give me time to work on my voiceover work. So, yeah, links in the description. Hope you had fun. If you like this, thumbs up, comment, like, share, subscribe would be awesome. I will please post other stories in the comments, and I will take them into consideration. I'll read just about anything. And, yeah. Okay, don't forget to visit my page, Pony Pony on Facebook. You can follow me there. I'm Admin Luna. I'm rambling. Try and get the next part up soon. Okay. Bye.